What is up, Goat World? It is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you with another Goat Format video. The Goat Format Warleague has finally reached the playoffs, baby. It's playoff time. With me today in studio, I have some of my two favorite coaches and also performers and participants in the Goat Format Warleague. We're going to sit here and present you guys with our playoff predictions, and also we're going to talk about some of the playoff teams, maybe kind of how they got there. We can talk about the bracket, we can talk about the playoff series, and we can do that. But first, let's go ahead and do a quick introduction. Again, no stranger to the program. I have the two-time FLC champion and Patreon champion. I got Moxies. He was just in the building a few days ago.
Hello, everybody. Good to be back. Always a pleasure.
And I also with me today, I have Mr. State of the Arc, Mr. State of the Arc. Can I copyright that? State of the Arc, huh? Yeah. FLC champion, world's topping, super dope Yu-Gi-Oh player in general, Mr. James Arc. I'm glad you guys are here. So we are in the playoffs. So what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of do a quick rundown through each of the teams, and then we can talk about some of the players and their run leading to the playoffs, because this thing was a to the wire finish. If you haven't been following the Goat Format Warleague, getting to those playoffs was critical. We had teams that were the #1 seed one day and they drop all the way down to the #7 seed. We had teams who were out, teams that were in, people were flip-flopping all around. So this is what it ended up being. So we're going to jump right into it. So first, coming in at the #8 seed, we have the Ultra Instinct Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling team. This is my team. They finished the season at an 8-7 record, coming in at the #8 seed. So we'll start with you, Mr. James Arc. What do you think about this Ultra Instinct Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling team coming into that 8 seed? How do you feel about them?
I feel like it was a very up and down season for y'all. I mean, I guess basically everyone in like the 5th through 8th slots were kind of like you said, down to the wire, just like not sure if they were going to make the playoffs, you know, relying on like last few tiebreakers, last few rounds of the 15 weeks. So like props to you guys for pulling through and now obviously having a chance at taking it all. I think, you know, in this recent top 8 bracket, you know, y'all put Gibbon Nation and AJ Hussein last, and I feel like they've had probably some of the better records from you guys over the course of the season. And those are definitely two really strong players that I think like you guys are using well, but everyone is like down to bring unconventional decks and like can perform. And I think y'all have a really good like team unit structure. You're against LRG, I think, so that could be difficult, but at the same time, if the Warleague has shown anything, it's like anyone's game. So I think y'all can take it home if you want.
What about you, Mr. Mox? What do you think about the Ultra Instinct?
My favorite team that's not my team, and I do agree with James. They have had an up and down season, but it's been on the up recently. When you guys really got into that desperation mode and decided, you know what, there's no more playing around. We gotta go hard here, and you guys pulled out win after win. I think was it 2 or 3 straight weeks in a row of wins, and other teams decided to falter at the end, and you guys stayed strong, stayed the course, and proved that you deserved to be in that spot. You guys got a diverse lineup, which I think is really going to be good for these Ironmans, because you want to be able to hit other teams with unconventional decks to kind of put yourself in a spot where all your players aren't going to necessarily go back-to-back 0-1. When you have a diverse lineup, you can it's hard to have a run in your team, because, you know, let's just say you play a team that has you know, multiple turbo players in a row, multiple warrior players in a row. You could get into a position where you turn it into a run versus, you know, one game you're playing against Burn, next game you're playing against Turbo, next game against Katutsuke, whatever. It's really hard to kind of make that sweep go through. So I think that you guys have an advantage in that, and then you have a bunch of talented players. We
fought hard to get here. We realized we were on borrowed time this entire season. A lot of time we came out of the gate extremely slow, but we'll see where it goes. Like you said, we are up against LRG right now, and this event is actually underway. So if you want to tune in, I'll make sure I link the Goat Format Warleague in the description, and just follow the film star tags, and you can watch these games live as they happen. As we get time available and more schedules are kind of, you know, ironed out, we'll be able to set up streams and live shoot videos and everything like that. So more content for the Goat Format Warleague will be happening. Stay tuned. All right, so we're going to go over to the #17. We got the Corpsmen. Again, if you haven't been watching all the Goat Format Warleague videos, this team struggled through adversity right away coming out of the gate. Okay, they came out and a lot of their key players left very early on in the season. Captain Zoidberg picked up that mantle and he kind of drugged this team on through, picked some very talented free agents up in the free agency, and that led them to a very strong record. They were the number one team for maybe a week or two. James, what do you think about this Corpsman team? What do you think their chances are of performing well in the playoffs? How do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, they've been like an awesome storyline to watch the whole time, just because no, everyone was sleeping on them at first, and then they were number one, and then they kind of fell down a few pegs, but like still finished really strong. So it's just been like a pretty crazy journey for them. But like you said, the pickups that they got with like Joey, and I don't remember if Duck was originally on it, but
they picked up Joey, they picked up Sparky, and they picked up Duck, and Ron Swanson as well.
I mean, all those players like have performed pretty well for them. I think Joey and Duck especially kind of carried them through the last couple weeks. Yeah, they're a super strong team with the Iron Man format. The fact that a lot of them are on Turbo. I know Sparky and like I think Ron Swanson in the recent Warleague played something non-Turbo, but the fact that they are all on Turbo might hurt them a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, they're all pretty strong players. I do wonder like if they get through the next round, like all-star talent, if that's gonna be a hindrance. But I think that throughout the World League, they've proven that they can basically beat anyone. I think they beat us in the regular season, so I think they could take it all the way. I mean, I think all the teams. I don't want to just say the same thing every time, but like with the right luck, with the right combination of bracket, deck choice, all that, they could take it all the way. I do think that the reliance on Chaos Turbo and just might have some difficulties against some of the higher seeded teams, but Eleuterio is definitely a sick team to watch pull through the entire season.
Shout out to the Corn. What about you, Moxies? What do you think about the Corn men? What do you think about the Eleuterios and their performance this season, and also their chances to go deep in the playoffs? They got Zoidberg. He's holding strong. Maybe captain of the year. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. What do you think about their chances and what they've done?
I think they kind of had the opposite of UI there. They started super strong, everything, they fought through adversity. They were doing good with the adversity, but then once they kind of got to the top and started getting the respect there at the end of the season, they started stumbling. After that win against Oversweep, it was just kind of like dominoes fell for them. They hit first place, everything was going good, they just beat one of the best teams. Then it was loss like in a row to Rampage HK, I think to another top 8ish team, don't remember, but they went from first all the way down to 7th just like that. And so they're kind of stumbling here into this playoffs. So I'm not too sure where it's going to go. I think EP's a really hard team to beat. So I'm not quite sure if they can do that. They've got good people on the team. There's a bunch of people. Joey's been pretty surprising this year. He's been playing some fun Go Control decks. Got his world invite. Played pretty good. Sparky's always a legend. So they definitely have potential. But if it was, I don't actually think they're going to beat Enraged Pandas. So for me, their playoff run would probably end pretty early.
All right, we'll see. Kiss of death. I don't know. This is hot takes only here on JDZ Plays Goats. All right. Speaking of EP, we got the next team coming in at the number 6 seed with a 9-6 record. We have the Enraged Pandas. Okay, the Enraged Pandas. When we did our initial prediction, we predicted them to be very high going into the season with the number 4 seed. So they kind of managed to live up to those expectations coming in with that number 6 seed. We'll start with you this time, Moxies. What do you think about the Enraged Pandas and their likelihood to make a deep run into these playoffs? They got a very strong lineup. They made some key pickups in free agency, bringing in Lucas G, bringing in Jace, and they kind of stabilized. They had some issues as well, personnel wise. What do you think their chances are playing EP going into the playoffs?
I think they have a really good chance. Personally, I think they have a really strong roster. I also think their 2 pickups were like defined their team to become to the top, because like they struggled early on the season. They're one of the teams where they had so much different types of decks that were alt-win that it actually was hurting them at the beginning of the season. And picking up Lucas and Jace, who are both really strong Turbo, and Lucas plays Chaos Control and Turbo, that really kind of evened out their roster, where you can't just like just full on pre, because they're going to play XXX, your sideboard is going to be XXX, whatever. You have to actually think, oh, well, I might, game one play against Lucas Gustafsson on control. Well, maybe I don't want to have this X card main decked or whatever, right? It really helped balance out their team, and I think that's what moved them, because they struggled right off the bat. They were not doing too hot in the beginning, and next thing you know, they made those 2 additions, and even though Jason, Lucas Gustafsson's records, they were good, but they weren't like off the walls like 6-0, 5-0. They were just like 5-2, 5-3, like pretty good. I just think it stabilized the rest of the roster, because Don't Copy started winning a bunch. We started winning a bunch here and there, so I think that really helped their roster out.
Yeah, WZ, in my opinion, is definitely their MVP. When he plays, he just gets dubs, and if he'd have played more,
all that guy does. I think it was smart for them to put him at their front. He's just a really annoying person to have to like plan against. The first person will have no idea what's even happening, and just gets smoked. And if he can get 2-3 wins, you're already in a really strong lead. So that was good by them. I don't want to play them. I think their team is just so annoying to even think about planning against. I just don't even want to deal with them.
What do you think? What do you think, Ms. James? I know you got a lot of friends on that team. I know you and WZ and you and Pui kind of go back, and you guys have some relationship with your world situation. So what do you think about that Enraged Panda team and their chances of going deep, making a run?
Like Moxies just said, I mean, they've always just been like, I think, the number one most annoying team for anyone to want to play. But that's like a great position to be in, for them or anyone. Like, being the team that no one wants to play is like a super to your benefit. And not to mention, I mean, even though we've seen a lot of people, I think, improve a lot gameplay wise over the course of the Warleague, I think that when you watch the replays against Pandaburn or Stein or any kind of alt win, you really see a lot of holes in people's gameplay. So I think just like from the jump, they've been really able to exploit the tournament populace as a whole's lack of experience dealing with those deck types, and not to mention when you have a whole team that are very good at using it. So I think for the playoffs, that same factor is going to apply. Knowing when you go in, like, if you just lose to one of their guys in one of the Iron Man and you're sending your next guy in, I mean, the next guy's going to know what exact build or what exact alt win thing they're on. So you don't get as much of these game one scenarios where you like think they might be playing one thing, but they're actually playing an OTK. So the Iron Man format kind of works against them that way. But like Moxie was saying, if any of them can get 2 or 3 wins, I mean, if you get 2 or 3 wins in an Iron Man, anytime you're pulling a 2-1 or a 3-1, I mean, you're punching above your weight, you're trading up. So that's a super good thing for them, and I think they're already off to a really good start in their war. And they're just going to be annoying for any other team to
plan
play
against, prepare for.
Whether because you never know. I mean, he's been using a zombie deck like Lucas uses Chaos Turbo, but also can use Panda, so it might even switch you up on that. And I would also echo that Jace and Lucas, I think, really held it down for them both, just in terms of their individual records, and just kind of revitalizing, I think, the good spirits of the team. Like, I think they really carried them through the last couple weeks. So shout out to them. I think just like all these teams were saying, kind of the same story, but like they really bounce back over the course of the season. All
right, so we'll go ahead and jump over to the next team coming in at the number 5 seed. We have the Lifted Research Group. Okay, Lifted Research, LRG, coming in at 9-6. Again, I think they stumbled going towards the finish line. They had a double bye locked up, and then a fumbled that, and now they're in the 5th seed with no bye. WGM, I have to give him a shout out as well, because there was some things, and Moxies, I don't know if you want to speak to this, but there were some issues that happened throughout the season where a lot of the key members of the LRG team, left to go to a different team or whatever. And WGM, shout out to him, man. He came through, he held together. They went and got some new talented players to come in to bolster that roster, and they continue to push through, led by WGM, to kind of get these guys to the playoffs. We'll start with you, Mr. James, this time. What do you think about the Lifted Research Group, and what do you think about their chances of winning the Goat Format Warleague Championship this season right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much because I'm curious what Moxies has to say. But, But no, I mean, I think that what's actually so surprising and incredible is like even after, the players left and going into the season, right? Like they were like top two, top three teams for sure.
Hmm.
And, players left, lineup changes, and just things happen over the course of the season. Fifth seems about right, but like the fact that they were able to just repair their roster with Gangster Bro, Soulmaster Matt,
Carl coming in there.
Carl came back. Yeah, like, those are pretty strong players, and the fact that they could just pivot on a dime, I think by most people would agree not have quite the same strength of roster, but still have a very competitive squad that obviously made the playoffs. Like, that's just really impressive. And I do think that after now those players have left and stuff, like they're a pretty competitive matchup for UI.
Hmm.
And I'm actually very curious to see the results of that war, because I think it might be closer than a lot of people think.
I like that. I like that take. I think that's fair. Like I said, we'll make predictions here in just a second. All right, Mox, what do you think about the what do you think about the Lifted Research Group? I know
I love those guys.
You have some close feelings about this. Things happen, and you may or may not have been involved in those things.
Oh, I was totally a part of it for sure.
What do you think about your unbiased opinion of the Lifted Research Group and their chances of making a deep run, their roster as it's currently comprised, and their chances to win?
Well, I mean, first things first, I think they did a good job of replacing the players that left, regardless of what people's opinions are on the quality of return, like overall. But in general, the people that they picked up and how they've been performing in the season, all had pretty good records.
Mm-hmm.
So they've definitely got value out of the players that they got, and that was like. Some teams here, you trade a guy here, you drop a guy, pick up a guy, but they basically lost half their roster in about 3 seconds, and then just had to scramble out of nowhere to add people. So it's pretty impressive that they got. You can make the assumption that you could even say that them even making the playoffs in general could have been because they could have just straight up fell apart, right? But for a while there, they were fighting for a top 2 seed, and then only just lost it here at the end. So. It's pretty impressive around there. I do think 5th is probably a fair spot for them comparatively to where the other teams are. I think that's a good spot. I'm leaning on they're definitely a team that can compete with anyone. Do I think that they're going to probably win the championship? No. But I think they can give any team a run for their money. They've got people on that team that can do some damage.
And I have to say, shout out to WGM. He is definitely one of the reasons this league exists. I have to give him his credit where credit is due. But I'm telling you right now, if LRG wins this thing, man, everybody might as well just leave the country, dude. Because WGM is not gonna let y'all out here the end of it. It's gonna be.
I know it's gonna be.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm here for it, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to WGM. Shout out to LRG. We are up against those guys right now. But until then, I don't give a damn about LRG. Forget LRG, until the results of this match is over, then we could be boys again. But now, all right, so now we're going to get into the top 4. So these teams the next 2 teams have 1 bye, and then the top 2 teams have 2 byes going into the playoffs this season. So the number 4 team is going to be Team Oversweep Dose, okay? Team Sweep OD. A little history on this team if you haven't been following the World League so far. There are 2 great Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling teams. Team Overdose, that goes way back. They've been playing Goats and Yu-Gi-Oh! In general for quite an extremely long amount of time, a lot of talented players, and they merged with another team, Team Sweep, who also is comprised of a very dope player. They merged together to make one team. This team is called Sweep Overdose. They came in as the number 1 ranked team for obvious reasons, but now here they are at the number 4 hold. James Arc is a member of that team, so we're gonna start with Moxies this time. What do you think about this Sweep OD team? I think they're absolutely stacked. They're certain they have the MVP. Shout out to Anthony Alvarado for winning the first ever Goat Format Warleague MVP, going 11-3 this season. That's one of the things that jumps up. So we'll start with you, Moxies. Let's talk about Sweep OD.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously like extremely stacked. Some of their players have had some struggles, but I do. It's hard to really say if that really means much because you could. Look at the replays. You can decide on yourself if some of it's luck, some of it's skill, some of it's whatever. I would like to see him, go back to the OG Warriors and just say, you know what, let's man up with my, 2-time GFC, 2-time FLC, deck that I used to destroy with. But I mean, they're a team that nobody is going to want to play against. Nobody's going to go, oh yay, haha, I get to play sweep free win. No, I definitely think they have potential to be in the finals. There's like, it's funny too, because not even just Geisty, like Reclar, who just finished top 4 in that in nationals for Goat, he has a negative win rate in his small tenure here. I think he's like 1-3 or something like that. Yeah, and it's just like, what the hell's going on? Like some of it's just like whatever. But like, I do think an Ironman format kind of helps with that a bit. There's a bit more strategy. You're thinking about it more because you kind of know, like, you're gonna know all their players are. Like, you will know the numbers before you put in your deck list. You'll know, instead of just kind of having to guess which players from here are going to play. What do I play? Blah blah blah. You'll know. There'll be a bit more strategy with it. And he's just, he's the world champion. Like, there's no way that 1-3 is sticking. The guy's an absolute demon. So I would be terrified to like play these guys. You see some of the Ant's even playing like Panda Burn, so I can't even sit here and go, okay, I'm just gonna focus on this. They got a Stein player, Nicey. Ant can play this. Arc can play Warriors. He can play other decks. Guys can throw in the Warriors and his CC, whatever. Like, you have to like, okay, like, think about how you want to organize your lists and rosters. So yeah, I think they're pretty. They're definitely a team that you could see win.
It's gonna be a long day. Mr. James, tell us about your team. Go ahead and tell us all your weaknesses and how we can beat you guys and how we can get you guys the hell up out of here.
Start with that.
Start with that. All right, go ahead.
Let me get my pad.
I don't just want to sit here and say, we're the best, we're gonna win. Although for sure we're the best, we're gonna win. But
damn.
But I really want to say that the regular season, I think, for us was a super big wake up call, because I think that especially going in, for everybody, not just our team, but for everybody, like, I think it was just a mixed expectations of how seriously everyone was going to take it. And like, I think that people still had this mindset of like, all right, well, this is like this fun thing we're doing on the side, and like, still we're going to focus on the main tournaments. But then it became really clear that like some people were really, really going hard as their main thing. And so I think that there were definitely some weeks where like, we brought decks that were not fully refined, or we wanted to test out for use in some later tournament, rather than like bringing the most refined deck to a Warleague week. And I think that was to our detriment, because I would say, speaking for all the people on my team, like, we would have loved to finish in the top 1 or 2, we think we're of that skill caliber, and like, we're people that hold ourselves to a very high standard. So like, not doing that feels like a little bit of like, wow, we fucked up. I think that going into the playoffs, that only makes us tighten ship, just be like, all right, no more gimmicks, like no more like weird ratios, like let's like use things that we know will work, like things that, and just play our absolute best. And I mean, I'm not, again, up here to like give excuses or Johns, but like Moxie says, I mean, you can look at some of the replays, but I think this is true for every team in the league. Like,
100%.
There were some sacks, there were some unfortunate losses. Like, I don't even think I would say that we had more like unfortunate losses than any other team. It's just like the nature of the game. But now is the playoff time. Now is the time to clutch it and show everyone more or less why like we are who we are. And I think Ironman format especially really, really benefits, a deep roster of skilled players with a diverse set of decks.
100%. I agree with what you're saying, because if you just look at the roster, and the roster is here, it's posted. If you just look, you got a world champion, okay, you got FLC champions, GFC champions, FLC and GFC champions, all top to bottom. Like, everyone on your team is some sort of champion or another, so it's very talented players, man, and it's going to be really, really hard to beat each one of those people every time in order to get through these things. So I don't envy it. If we get faced with you guys, we will take the challenge, we'll take the task and put it to work. But It's gonna be really, really
And
extremely
don't sleep
difficult
on
to do.
Nicey also.
No one sleep on
Bringing out
Nicey.
Nicey.
Yeah, Nicey's in there. Nicey's in there. Nicey need to get some more reps.
Bringing detox goat control. So
Detox is coming back.
be ready for that.
Nicey, shout out to Nicey, man. All right, so that's sweep. So now we're going to the number 3 team. Okay, the number 3 team is going to be the Rampage, the main unit, the main gorilla unit. Okay, so this is the unit that Moxies is on. Okay, so we're gonna start with Mr. James Arc this time. You know, they're led by LaBounty. Ghost Rider's been kind of inactive. I think that kind of affected them a little bit. So what do you think about Rampage? What do you think about their chances of making a win? They got a very talented team, deep roster, dope players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think a great team in kind of the same spot as us, where they would have loved to finish better. You know, like. I think that John LaBounty especially like sees himself as you know, one of the best Goat Format teams. I think it would be hard to disagree with that. And so like just like us, he's in a mindset of we gotta prove that, we gotta show and prove, we gotta be number 1. And so even though 3rd place is obviously a very respectable finish, I can't help but imagine there's a little bit of like, all right, now we really gotta step it up or go harder, or just prove it. And like you said, I'm not sure if Ghost Rider is gonna play all these playoff matches, but I would imagine if he hasn't been playing very much, that guy's a fiend. Yeah. So I'm sure he wants to be playing, and if there was ever a time to let him back out the cage, now it is. So I mean, I would expect him to come out at least at some point over the course of these playoffs. And then, I mean, the rest of their lineup is just some super strong players. So, yeah, any team that gets through that first round is going to have a serious challenge in their way right off the bat with Rampage.
Rampage main unit. Moxies, what do you got to tell us about? What do you got to tell us about your team? How can we beat Rampage? What we got to do to send the gorilla team back to the house? How can we make this work?
Well,
tell me about
Rampage. It seems I mean, on paper you can look at the roster and you can notice an issue, which is I think is, even though Ghost Rider is like, you know, he's one of the best turbo players, one of the best Go players. I think another reason is that he added a specific diversity to the team, which was a main deck turbo player. And unfortunately, our roster is comprised of mostly warrior players, is what it is. Even myself, like I've obviously done the best with warriors. I tried to play other decks to help stabilize the team a little bit, but I do think that's kind of been a little bit of our issue, because like we've noticed multiple weeks now where we'll play against like Chaos Control and I'll have main deck Sakuji armors and creature swaps and no knocks. Like it's like, come on, like they're not even pretending to hide it. So which actually has benefited me personally because I don't play warriors. I try and play these other decks to help balance our team out, and then it becomes an even easier match for me because there would be like no knocks and I'm playing Chaos Control or something, right? And I'm just like sitting going, okay, you're gonna have creature swap and I have scapegoats, like whatever. So I do think Iron Man is probably going to help that out a bit, because you can't really, because you know, if you're thinking Ghost Rider is going to be back, you know, John Wick, who statistically was our highest rated player, he doesn't play warriors. And then myself, whatever, you can't really just go, I'm going to main deck, you know, XXXX and side deck whatever X, because you don't, you know, you could be the first one up and you could be playing against, you know, Go Control or something, right? Even Taz, like he's played Turbo a lot and he's quite good at it. He's even played some conversion decks before that are kind of scary. But yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't compete with any of the other teams in an Iron Man. You know, Lucas is an absolute unit phenom. So,
and you guys are fortunate enough to have that bye. I think that gives you some kind of room to kind of sit back, kind of let it all develop and see what other teams going to be doing, and kind of.
I see that was pretty important for us. We wanted to see what other teams were going to put out. Kind of gives you an advantage to see what other teams, because now you can plan going, hey, if like EP for an instance, they only did 6. So maybe if, you know, you're a bigger team, you'd go, oh well, I have to start planning ahead now, thinking, well, what if I can only play 6 instead of 8? Like, who am I sitting? Why would I sit them versus who? X, whatever, blah blah blah. And in general, an extra week is just an extra week of Ghost Rider getting healed, which is important. So
That's dope. You gotta find a way to mitigate pre any chance you get.
Yeah,
Pre
no, that's
pre is
true.
real. Pre is real. Pre is real. All right. So now we're gonna go to the number 2 and the number 1 team. All right, the number 2 team, they have 2 buys. All right, so these teams are already in the semifinals, waiting just based on their season performance. I thought they did well, and they clutched it out. So number 2, we have the Bad Bones. No one thought they could do it. No one thought the Bones unit was going to be number 2. If you told me at the beginning of the season that the Bad Bones were going to be the number 2 seed going into the War League playoffs, I would have told you that you are in fact a liar, and that is no way that's possible. But here we are. Bones ended the season with a 10-5, led by Shifty, potential captain of the year candidate. We'll start with you, Moxies. What do you think about the Bones unit? I love Shifty. I love the Sauce. Sauce almost won MVP. He kind of carried the team through there. Night moves. Night moves coming in. He picked it up, and he came in there and started clutching out. Jean-Claude Van Damme came in there. What do you think about the Bones organization, Moxies, and how they their chances are at that number 2 seed?
Yeah, I'm super surprised they got top 2. The Sauce is kind of surprised. Like, people in the money scene know the Sauce, and he's a solid player. But even in the money scene, it's not like he was one of the top players you think of. Like, he was just a guy that played, did well every once in a while. But he's really kind of like, because he didn't really he just plays Facebook here and there. But now that he's like in the scene, he got to Obelisk, did decently well. He's playing these weekly matches all the time. He's actually like going into it. He's grown a lot. He was one of the MVP candidates, a huge anchor for their team that you can rely on to go get a win for his team to put him up 1-0. And he also plays a bunch of different decks, which is good for them. But honestly with you, their team is like, you look at their roster and you don't have like the quote unquote big names. You don't see the top of the top players. But for some reason, all the guys just do their job and win. Like, Night Moves is in there. JCVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme, everyone's favorite player. That guy's a menace.
I love him.
He just goes in there, uses his little Goat Control deck with D-Mock and says, screw it, I'm playing this deck and I'm winning, and he does. And even other people like yugioh, he hasn't played too much the last little bit, but when he was in early mid-season, I think he was doing pretty good, like 3-1 or something like that. And these are just players you're like they're just winning, and I don't even get it. And it's pretty surprising. So good for them to get the 2nd seed. I mean, obviously they're going to go at least halfway through the tournament because they get two buys. But on paper, I'm not going to say that they have I wouldn't choose them over either Rampage or over Sweep.
Hot take from Moxies, everybody. Yeah. I didn't say it. Kiss of death for Moxies. All right, Mr. Arc. Tell me about this Bones team, Mr. Arc. What do you think about the Bones organization? What Shifty's done with that crew, and how these guys are going to do going into the playoff?
Yeah, Moxie said a lot. I mean, I think that those 3 players, the Saws, Night Moves, and JCVD, are all weirdly players that really good players struggle with. I don't know how else to say. Like I feel like they're people that can really punch above their weight. Not even saying they're bad at all, but they're definitely people that I've seen in the other Patreon tournaments, whatever, just take games off some of the top players. So I feel like you need that. You need a solid base of people that are going to be really consistent, and then also people that are going to really take down some names. And I remember one specific conversation I had in voice with the Saws, and he was just talking about how he doesn't get to play a lot on the weekends for those tournaments. And someone asked him, does it bother you don't get to play a lot? I don't even remember what the exact context was, but I just remember he said, I think if I got to play more, I would be top 5. And no qualification of that.
Yeah.
But just he said I would be top 5.
The confidence, dude. That's what it takes.
I just didn't even know what he meant at the time. What, you think you would be a top 5 player all time? You'd be top 5 on the leaderboard. You'd get top 5 in some tournament. What does that even mean? But I mean he was a top 5 player in the MVP race. He just beat me in the finals of this top 50 playoff. So he's starting, as you said, Moxie's to get more integrated into the scene and put up consistent results as he's able to play. And I mean, he is just a player to me that if he was able to play more, or just whatever he does get to play, he's going to do pretty well. And I think that, everyone else holds down their spot pretty well, but the Sauce is definitely a player that I have a lot of respect for. And and I mean he was one of the second place MVPs, so he clearly like carried to a certain degree.
There's one thing I would only thing I would disagree with Bad Bones, and I love them a lot, but their roster is just not as deep as some of these other top team rosters. Yeah. If you're talking Iron Man, if you're going beyond that 5 threshold, I don't think they're 6 and 7. Maybe Shifty just sticks to the 5. I just don't think their 6, 7, 8 man is going to compete with the Rampage 6, 7 guys and the Sweep 6, 7 guys. I think that might be something that Shifty needs to think about when he's making his lineups to go into these things in each round.
I mean, have we heard about? I mean, is he going to bring the Nano out of retirement? Because that guy's technically still on the roster, isn't he?
The Nano is still on the roster. I think the Nano can come in and he could be a hidden factor to come in and do some sweep.
Bring the Wicked Worm Beast, bro.
Oh, bring it!
Y'all not ready for that?
That deck is nuts.
The Nano's on a different level. So if the Nano can come back, I think he's got a surprise factor. I think Shifty is going to have his hands full trying to set these lineups because he's going to want to win. Obviously, he's going to want to win. So we'll see how it goes. Number 2 seed.
Shout out to themselves in a great position.
They did.
Yeah, that is.
They did.
It's crazy.
They had a great season. So 10-5 is no slouch, and I think they had a fantastic season. And hopefully they can. We'll see what they do with it. All right. So now we're going to go to the number 1 team. The number 1 team. The Rampage Hit Squad Killers, the HK Hong Kong division of Rampage. They also finished at 10-5 with the highest tiebreakers. So they are the number 1 seed, coming in with 2 buys as well, led by GFC champion SDL Killer. He's one of the hottest players of the season right now in all the War League and also in the competitive scene as well. Ivan, AJT, YSMF. I think they have a fantastic team. I think they have, Ivan, another MVP candidate. We'll start with you again, Moxies. This is your sister team. What do you think about these guys, the HK division of Rampage, and what their chances are to go ahead and secure the rest of this, secure this thing up, wrap it on up as the number 1 seed?
I mean, they're just loaded. Even the players that aren't playing, like Yada Yada really hasn't been playing a lot lately. He kind of stepped down to. Though, to be fair, I don't think he really stepped down because of not wanting to play. It was more just there was other people who joined up post the free agency that just wanted to play more, so he just kind of took a step back. But he's a monster. So if they decide to go full rosters, that's not a guy you want. He's quote unquote near their bottom of their roster, and he's a beast. Yeah. So they're stacked top to bottom. They got some diversity, maybe not the most diversity, but when you have, some of the strongest turbo players and some of the strongest warrior players on your team, you might not even need anything else. So their team is just scary. Ivan Rosito is, we just said was one of the league MVPs. Got close there at the end. SDL Killa guy just doesn't stop winning or topping with Warriors, and even AJ finally finding his form here after struggling in the War League. He just said, "Nope, I'm done. I'm just gonna win this FLC to make up for it." So, and even back to back because he got second place to Arc's FLC too. So a first and a second. This team's just scary. I don't know. I'm not really sure how they're going to lose, to be honest. They're kind of terrifying.
I don't know. I'm concerned. Mr. Arc, what do you think about the Hit Squad Killers? What do you think about Hong Kong division of Rampage?
They're a great team. I mean, they're a tough squad. SDL Killa. They're like some of the scariest players, I feel like people I don't want to play against. SDL Killa, YSMF, Ivan. Those are people that even when you win against them, you got to earn it, It just it's one of those 50-minute matches. You got to take your water breaks, do some push-ups during siding, you really gotta dig deep in your little gamer soul to take down those matches. So those are all people that are tough opponents, and to face them in an Iron Man is a tall order. That being said, I think if there's anyone that can do it, I've dealt with some of these people before. It could be done. But no, I mean for any team, they're just killers, and I mean Ivan top 3 with the Saws and Anthony in the MVP. So just very very consistent players. I think people that are also not. Whereas I could see in some of the other teams, ourselves included, doing a bit of overthinking, a little bit of oh, like this is the predicted meta based on these people. Here's what they're going to bring. Here's how we can bring something maybe kind of unique to take advantage of that fact. They are all people on this team that have, for the most part, decks that they stick to within kind of like a certain criteria and make smart changes based on that, and like don't deviate too much from that formula.
I agree with that 100%.
And I mean, I think that definitely benefited them in the main season, whereas like maybe some wonky choices were made by other teams that were to their detriment. And then I think it'll benefit them as well in the playoffs, because anytime you're basically going back to the drawing board every week or something in order to create some perceived advantage. I think there's a lot of room to like mess up and kind of submit a subpar deck list or something you're not so experienced with. And these people are not players that are going to have that problem.
No fancy stuff. They're blocking, they're tackling, they're running the ball, dude. It's straight up and down. It's none of that. It's going to be
some of the best at it.
Yeah, they keep it simple and they keep it moving. They knock you out and they keep it going.
Yeah. Other than their one addition that they made with Matt Uber, he's the foil in that plan where you're sitting here thinking, okay, I'm going to game plan. It's basically going to be all turbo or all warriors. Like, let's focus on that. And then it's just going to be, boom, Matt Uber. What is he playing? Panda Bernstein? Fuck it. I don't know what's going to happen. And he just ruins it.
So that is true. You got to keep a sharp lookout for the Matt.
Yeah, because you can't even now when you game plan against them, you have to think to yourself, dude, like, where do we think he's going to be in the order? Do I think realistically that these amount of players that I put in this spot in my order are going to play them? Do we risk side decking for the potential burn, the next thing you know he blows you out, or do you want to waste slots on it? It's just annoying because it's just one player.
But this is, I mean, if you didn't, also I forgot to mention, if you didn't know, like, there are Worlds invite implications associated with Goat Format Warleague now. We've partnered with the goatformat.com Discord, and we're now going to be going to Worlds. So this is for something. They're going to be the MVP is going to be invited. There's going to be an invitational tournament at the end of the season with the championship team and the MVP. We're going to play a tournament, and there are going to be invites that will be granted for playing in the Goat Format Warleague. But now, so we've gone through all the teams. Tell me who you think is going to win on these choices. I'll have the bracket. I'll post it right here of what that's going to look like. And also, we got the experts in the house right now, so we could do a quick pick'ems. If you guys are willing to do, let's just talk quick picks of who you think is going to win each round, and then we can wrap this
these
thing
really biased pick'ems. Like, let's be real. I'm going to pick Rampage, and he's going to pick Oversleep.
Oh, but hey, you know what?
You're going to pick UI.
You know what? that is kind of true, because we are all invested in these things.
Between the three of us, every other match won't be biased, but
it'll be biased. So first, like right now, we have the Ultra Instinct Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling team versus LRG. Right now, that match is currently underway, and it is 1-1. What do you think? How do you guys think that's going to go? Who do you think is going to win? How is it going to shape up? I'll start with you, Mr. James R. You can offend me. You can. I'll take my headphones off. No disrespect.
UI getting crushed.
Damn.
No, actually, psych. I'm gonna take it back. Sorry, I just want to see your reaction. To be honest.
Dang.
But
I got strong feelings. I got strong feelings. I think
UI's gonna win.
What?
UI is gonna win. 7 on 7.
It's 7 on 7.
It'd be 7 on 7.
All right, how about this?
Throw a little.
Yeah, throw us a win by 2. Okay. Win by 2, 7-7. Win by 2. What about you, Moxies? UI.
I'm gonna have to go with LRG.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't hate you. Hey, I don't hate you.
But it's not gonna be a blowout. There's just too much. You guys have too much of a varied lineup, and AG Husan and Gib Nation are just are pretty good. They're not gonna go out like cowards. Hopefully, I'd probably go LRG by 2.
Okay. So LRG by 2. I'm picking UI. I think it's gonna come down to the wire. I think it's gonna be 1 versus 1, last heart each, and I think Gib Nation mans up,
FTS.
And he clutches it, and I think we go ahead and take him on out of there. I think that's how it's gonna end. That's my take. UI by 0. All right. So now if UI wins by 0, now we got EP versus the Corn Men. How do you guys think that's going to end? We'll start with you, Moxies, this time. EP, the Enraged Pandas versus the Corn Men. Remember, this is kiss of death right here.
I'm taking EP, and I'm taking them with 4.
EP with 4 left. Okay.
Yeah, Big Llama's just too busted. The guy's insane. He's gonna do damage.
Yeah, just based on the events that took place today, I think WZ is just on something, man. They put him first for a reason. I think he can get through quite a few bodies before he's finally ran down. James, what do you think about the EP versus the Corpsmen?
I would love to just give some contrary opinion, just to give some more spice, but I can't because EP by 4 sounds like the move, like you just said. Shout out to my man WZ, carried me through fantasy, carried me in multiple fantasies actually. So I fuck with him. I think he's a strong player, and honestly, I hope in one of these top brackets, he goes on turbo or something because he can play any of these decks too.
Yeah.
And but I think he'll do some damage. I don't know if Eleuteris is like that well equipped for alt-win stuff in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he plus the rest of their roster should close it out.
All right, so we got EP. We got a mixed bag, UI versus LRG. So depending on the brackets do reseed based on how it goes. So we'll just kind of do a little back and forth of different scenarios of how that's going to be. So we have Sweet.
Well, before we get there, we never heard your EP versus.
I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. I tried to slip out of there, dude. You saw that? You saw that? You caught me, dude. I tried to just slide right out of there like it was no thing. Because I got the kiss of death, man. And people say, hey, man, whenever I'm wrong. And I'm often wrong. They're quick to tell me, "Hey, man, you're wrong," and here it is. And they're pieing me in the face the whole time. But I don't want to keep jumping on the EP bandwagon. I do believe EP is going to win, but I don't want to just crap on Zoidberg. I think they can whip these guys into shape. But man, if they can get WZ knocked down and get him out with maybe 2 bodies on him. Maybe they can make something happen. I think Zoidberg can get hot. I think Sparky can definitely get hot. I think they can knock out a few and kind of even this thing out. But I think I'm kind of leaning towards EP as well. I don't think it's going to be by 4. I think WZ may get through 1, maybe 2. He falls, and then they go on a run, and then I think they clutch up. Maybe they can get by 2 or maybe by 1. I think it'll be closer than we think. I still am picking EP. Don't hate me, Corn, man. Corn is in my heart.
I love corn.
I'm Corn all the way. I think you guys fumbled the bag by skipping out on those buys. I think that's going to come back to haunt you guys as the season goes along. But that's my 2 cents. I'm picking EP. I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout, but they got a lot of firepower in the tanks left. Yeah. So that's my take. But we're gonna go sweep. They'll be 4th. If EP wins and they play against sweep, or if LRG plays against sweep. How do you guys think that's going to go? I think let's do it like this. Which team do you think has a better matchup against that sweep team that can take them down? I want to say it's EP, but I don't know. LRG, they have a vendetta. They have the drive. They have the motivation. I think they're playing for something more than just a game. Who do you think is going to take it? Who do you want to play, James? And who do you think you guys have a better chance to win as sweep? As that 4 seed?
That's a good question, actually. I'm a think through it out loud because EP. I think that all of us on sweep, and I'm gonna say myself in there too, are very good against playing against alt-win decks. Like we've tested them. Like that's the thing. Like that's what people don't understand. Like we've used all these stuff. Like sometimes in the Warleague, but just in general. So it's like we understand what makes them work, how to counter them, good side deck cards, bad side deck cards, like ideal ratios, things that need to come out that you wouldn't expect. Like we've done it all. So it's like on that level, I've always felt that a lot of alt-win players get really far just due to the inexperience of their opponents. That's not to say that the alt-win decks are not strong in their own right or not good against great opponents as well, because that's like, I feel like that's a classic case of Panda Burn or Steingate or something where like people maybe thought they were only winning due to other people's inexperience. Turns out in the right player's hand, they're actually still a really good deck against anybody. But all that being said, like I do like our odds if they're all on some kind of alt-win, or a large majority of them on. But it's tough to say because those matchups are just inherently kind of variance heavy, especially when you're talking about something like Pad OTK. Like can't really not a lot that like you can always like outmaneuver in that matchup. But on the flip side, if you look at the LRG roster, and you might expect a lot of them to bring, just normal decks,
just real standard stuff,
maybe heavier turbo or chaos control, or maybe Bazoo or like whatever. Like I don't know, like those are all decks that we're probably even better prepared for than random alt-win decks. but at the same time, turbo mirrors kind of like notoriously coin flip if both players know what they're doing. So I'm gonna say I would rather play LRG just to
Just
get it,
just for the
like,
just for the memes.
Just to
stick
get
it
'em.
it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, like of course.
So sweep. You heard it here first, folks. Sweep wants LRG. WGM, what do you think about that? I know you're gonna watch this. Shout out to you again. What do you think about that?
Absolutely.
Sweep
Shots
Sweep
fired,
wants
yeah.
you. Shots fired. Boom, boom, boom. You can't put him back.
wants you.
Sweep wants you. I want the champ. All right, Moxie, what do you think? How do you think it's gonna go? What do you think?
So we would get either EP or UI, and I would just choose UI. I think UI and EP are a little bit comparable with their type of strategy and decks, and I think EP just does it at a little bit higher of a level. So I'd prefer to play EP. Basically, I just don't want to see Cat Trunade Will. I never want to see that combo.
Oh, so you want us? You want UI?
Yeah,
you said you want
UI
Oh no,
because
you
I
don't.
do not
Okay.
want to play WZ. It doesn't
Okay.
matter how much I plan, set up my strategy, tell my teammates what to do. If WZ just comes in and plays those cards, there ain't no much trickery or maneuvering, like Ark said, that you can do. You just lose. It's done. I'm not trying to do any of that.
Well,
so
I'm
I'd rather lose because of like a Trinity sack, or lose because there's maneuvers between my opponent and I, like we played a good match, whatever. I just lose. I'd rather lose to that than just like not even have a chance to even play some trigger.
Yeah, you're gonna wake up with a headache if you find yourself across the cage from UI, man. You're gonna find yourself across the cage with a wild wombat, dude. You don't want this problem, dude. It's gonna be a long night for you. You don't want no UI. I'm joking.
I mean, to be fair though, I do really want to play against UI for the fact that there's a badge you get when you beat someone that you've lost to, and I've lost AG Husan and Give Nation already.
Okay, I forgot you are the badge man. You got the most badge. You're the most badges.
I want to have more badges. Plus, I'd love to play indoors because he's a son of Arc and myself. And,
man,
we always love to play indoors.
Shout out to indoors. Indoors is gonna fold you up. You don't want that smoke. You don't want no indoor smoke. All right, so now we're gonna go to the semifinals. We're gonna go to the semifinal round, and we're gonna just do a pick'ems on those matches as well. We'll go Rampage versus Bad Bones. We'll start with you, Mr. Arc, on that matchup. We'll do a little reverse action. Rampage versus Bad Bones.
Nice.
How do you think that's gonna? How you think that would potentially go?
I think I would still have to give it to Rampage, although just like the story of Bad Bones the entire season, I think it might be closer than people give it credit, because they've literally proven themselves to be one of the best teams. But I mean, the Rampage roster, especially, it's just like IRL Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Where it's like sometimes you get these people who do really well in a Swiss tournament, right? Like they might go undefeated in Swiss with some crazy deck, and they get to top 32, they get to top 16, and they lose. And like usually the people who end up winning these events are the people who have a lot more experience and are able to, I hate the like stay cool under pressure type thing, but there's a lot to be said, I think, for knowing how to win, like not knowing how to like do well and not knowing how to win some games, but just like having a winner's mentality and just knowing how to take it home. And LeBounty and all those guys, I think, just have that edge over Bones. So I would give it to them.
I think, I just want to jump in before I go to Moxies with the HK Sweep matchup. I think if Shifty cannot be coerced into making a larger roster, because LeBounty's gonna be like, hey man, we want 7, I want to play 7, you bring out 7. If Shifty can prevent that and just says, hey, I'm gonna keep this thing at a nice moderate amount, I think that would significantly increase any chance of winning that they have, instead of trying to allow yourself to get coerced into doing that. But that's my 2 cents. But Max, we're gonna go to you. We're gonna talk sweep, and we're gonna talk HK. This could be fireworks if this were to happen, because this is potentially something that could take place. Sweep versus HK in the semifinals. That could be a absolute knockdown, drag out, slugfest. Who do you think would win that matchup? Sweep versus HK.
Careful what you say, bro.
This is, out of all the matches that we've covered for, this is probably the one that's going to be like the tightest.
If it happens now,
like,
I mean, these things could also not happen.
For sure could not happen. If we do get this, it's gonna be just a slugfest of like win a match, lose a match, win a match, lose a match. Maybe one person wins two, and then the next person wins two. But either way, it's gonna be tight the whole way through. Obviously, I'm going to choose HK, but man, that one's going to be insane. That might, out of all the matches we've covered for, that's going to be the most fun to watch.
So you're choosing HK, James.
Yes.
Obviously, you're going to choose. I don't know who you're going to pick. I don't know who you're going to pick on that one. But we're gonna keep Moxie's bracket. We're gonna say HK knocks out Sweep here. I don't think that's going to happen personally. Maybe it could. Anything can happen in the Goat Format Warleague.
Whoa.
Oh no. Well, go ahead. No, okay. Go ahead. Take it away, Mr. Art. What do you think?
I mean, no. For the purpose of this exercise, and only for the purpose of this exercise, yeah, we can say that.
All right, so you picked Rampage 1, you picked Rampage HK. There is no way we're going to sit here and allow to have a Goat Format Warleague all Rampage finals. Can't have it. Won't allow it.
I'm gonna do my darndest to not have that happen. And I will say, historically, I would pity anyone that has to go up against myself personally in the Iron Man team format specifically.
It's specifically if you're of Italian descent as well. If you're Italian,
yeah, you better hide them on HK.
Getting washed. But no, I mean, look, we can say a Rampage versus HK finals for the purpose of this.
No, okay.
If that were the case, big if, almost impossible if, I would still give it to HK if they came off beating us. And those are, again, also players that, like I said before, with the kind of no frills thing, but I did play Ivan in a 6-match, not Iron Man, but a long drawn out series, and I know that that's someone at least that can go the distance in like just back-to-back matches.
Hey, how did that work out though? What were the results of that? Not
so well. It didn't work out so well, JDZ. Glad you decided to shed light on that. But much love to Ivan, and if he did find himself, I mean, that's just another person that if he had to clutch it out, I would, have a reasonable degree of confidence over a lot of other players that he would be able to do it. So
I agree. And
if you put him in that position.
So last time he was in that position, he took a hard L to me.
Oh, hey, that did happen. That was an Iron Man too, and it was a little full circle. These things are circular.
You're right.
That did happen. So
maybe we'll see a last match rematch.
And
he does like to go at the end.
And these brackets do reseed, so the higher seeded team will always play against the lower seeded team. So that's why we're kind of just speculating on how this thing's going to go. But in this world, like I said, there's going to be reseeding and there's going to be different potentials. You never know who's going to play who, just based on how the thing rolls out. But there is a scenario in which Moxies from Rampage could potentially play against Sweep OD in these brackets. How do you guys think that's going to turn out? What do you think some of your strengths and weaknesses are in this tournament situation? I mean, who do you think is going to win? We'll start with you, Mr. Arc, this time. Rampage versus Sweep. What do you think your chances are against Rampage? You got LeBounty in there. You got Moxies in there. How do you think that's going to work? This could be for the title, correct?
Yeah, this should be the final.
Yeah, I mean, you just named a number of players that would all get washed. Like, I think that.
Yes, I love it.
I would not want to see us, and I would not. No iron team. But I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like I'm playing at the top of my game. I know the rest of my team. Ant just won the MVP. Like, T's playing phenomenal. Like, there's a lot of talent, and I feel like as of late, I think the World League, honestly, and this is a great advertisement for anyone who wants to join up and be a part of that community, because it's like a rising tide, raises all ships or whatever. Like, I do think that everyone has improved from being in the World League and having the time and space outside of tournaments to really focus in on, okay, if I have one match to play this week, let me make it the most perfect match prep wise and gameplay wise that I possibly can. And that's kind of how I and I think the rest of my team approaches it. And like that's really been, I think, to my benefit, and just really, really tightening up any loose ends of play errors that you might have. And I can go back, I feel, on a lot of the matches in this War League and say, okay, I don't think I made any mistakes this match. And so when you're up against that, a team full of those people, as I feel we have, y'all don't want to fuck with that. Y'all don't want to fuck with that.
Moxies, is that true? So if I'm hearing this correctly, James Arc is saying that Rampage is absolutely free. If you guys show up in the championship, free. It's going to be a buy. They're free. And you guys may as well not even show up. Is that accurate, Moxies? Is that how you feel?
Well, I mean, since the niceties are out of the bag here, we can take back everything I said about oversweep. They're gonna get mollywopped in the finals. You know, I might not be able to say that my team does exactly what his team does. My team is notorious for not caring, not really. They just kind of show up and do it. I personally am not like that. I'm more like Arc and his team. I watch everything. I study everything. I tell my team everything. I try and do the best I can to make sure all the people on my team are super prepared. I'm only one person. But you know what? You don't really need to do any of that when you just got people on your team like Luke has, the guy just doesn't stop winning. He's just the man. The guy runs the format. My personal hero. And you guys would just get absolutely just trash bag, to be honest. I'm
looking forward to it because somebody's gonna have to live this. You know, somebody's gonna be right and somebody's gonna be wrong if this works out. But first,
I will say that there's gonna be an absolute. Like, if you think this allergy UI, you know, in the Discord has been popping off, any sort of like Rampage versus sweep or allergy versus sweep, basically LG versus anyone, is going to completely, like, LG's UI is pretty tame, so the shit talk, like, we think the shit talk that's been going on has been pretty like high tier. LG versus a Rampage or sweep is going to blow it out of the water. Yeah, so it's going to be insane.
Yeah, so if you just a little, I know this is going on the goatformat.com YouTube page. Yes. No. If you do come into the Goat Format Warleague, just make sure you are. Your thick skin is prepared because it gets very choppy. It gets very dicey in there. It's a different world. So just warning here from your boy JDZ. Just go in there and check it out. If it's not for you, just go ahead and step away. This is for high level competitive players, and it gets pretty intense sometimes. But that's your one warning, and I won't do another one. But that's dope. That's dope. Thank you guys again for coming here. I like these takes. I'm going to remember these takes. This is going to be on the internet forever, so people will be able to see these takes. And hopefully you got to live them. Now you got to make it work out, because I think you guys are both wrong. UI is going to run right through this thing and make it right on to the final.
You love this,
and then you're going to both be sitting here looking quite foolish. You're like, man, I didn't see that coming. And that's how it's going to be. But it is what it is. No matter what happens, it's gonna be great. But any other special shout outs to you guys before we have to sign off? Thank you so much again for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I just have a shout out obviously to my team Rampage, and then a shout out to the community, because we're playing this highly competitive league for no money. Even before the World League, before we got invites for Worlds added to it, everyone was going super hard. Like, this isn't just for most of the people here, like, they just want to win. They don't need anything else. The pride, the wanting to win, the drive is enough to keep this league super competitive, and it's all community driven. So shout out to everyone, and I hope anyone watching, we want to make season 2 even better and even bigger, and we'd love to see more people playing, more talent of any skill and anything, because it's shown. Even our almost MVP, the Sauce, for anyone watching, he's grown immensely throughout the season. That could be you next season.
Yeah, if you want to get better, this is the place to do it. Mr. Arc, any shout outs?
No, I mean, shout out to my team, Anthony MVP. The rest of the teams need to stay free, I believe.
Damn.
And also just a very brief plug, Edison community. I think that honestly this World League is like exactly what, maybe not the World League format, Jerry's still out, but just a core group of very competitive players going hard and putting in like real testing and stuff like that. That's still not quite there in as I see the Edison community, but if anyone is like interested in joining that, there's always Format Library, there's the edisonformat.com Discord. You know, it's like just another fun retro format that I'm also pretty involved in, and has some, you know, similarities, differences to Goat. So check that out as well.
Yeah. James Arc is terrible at Edison and Goat, so don't listen to him. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But yeah, if that's your thing, if that's what you want to do. But yeah, thank you guys again for coming by. I really appreciate it. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do it like that. So all right, big shout out to James Arc and Moxies for coming by the studio and talking to me about the Goat Format Warleague. Again, if you're interested in viewing or participating in the Goat Format Warleague, next season will start after the Worlds this year. It goes pretty long, depending on how many people sign up and how many teams we get. It's going to determine how long the next season is. So stay tuned for more dates, more information, and more time as it becomes available. I will go ahead and present that information out. So you can participate in season 2 of the Goat Format Warleague, which is planning on being bigger and better and cooler than this season. So tell me what you think about these picks. Tell me what you think about the season so far. It was a great season. Shout out to everyone who participated in season 1 of the Goat Format Warleague. I thought it was a big success. We had our ups and downs and trials and tribulations as things happen, as they often do, but we worked through all of that. And we're going to continue to work and grind and grow and build and play this game. It's just another way to play this game that we all love. So again, thank you all for watching. I'm JDZ. I play Ghosts. Until the next time, peace.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.